Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following. Indiana University's Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, presenting Security Matters, with tips for improving online security in 3 minutes or less. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Communications, serving Southern Indiana with high-speed fiber gigabit internet. Smithville Fiber Gigabit Technology. Tap the power.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana News Desk, new rules from the Environmental Protection Agency would require Indiana to reduce its carbon emissions by 20%.
We're already seeing progress across this country, even here in Indiana with the wind farms. We know how to do this, and today's plan is about accelerating and building on that progress.
Why environmentalists are hailing the measure as a major step forward, while state leaders say it will be devastating for Indiana's economy. Investment companies find a new way to pay for their projects: crowdfunding.
The power of the entrepreneurial community to create wealth, to create jobs, is incredible, but funding is one of the key barriers or elements that limits the entrepreneurial community from kind of fully realizing its potential.
We talked to one company that's using crowdfunding to build a rehabilitation center in Bloomington, and we look into the benefits and risks of bypassing banks and Wall Street. Those stories and a look at this week's headlines right now on Indiana News Desk. Hello, I'm Joe Wren, and welcome to Indiana News Desk. This week, the Environmental Protection Agency unveiled a new set of proposed regulations for existing power plants. The goal, reduce emissions by 30% by 2030. But under the proposed rules, each state has its own customized goals. Jashin Lin reports on what those are for Indiana and whether the state is likely to meet them.
When the EPA announced the proposed regulations on Monday, reactions in Indiana came fast and furious.
The proposed EPA rules today would have a devastating effect on Indiana ratepayers, on Indiana businesses, and on Indiana jobs.
Indiana relies on coal for 80% of its electricity generation. The governor says he favors an all-of-the-above strategy, a phrase he's used often when describing Indiana's energy policy.
We don't have to choose between a cleaner environment and a growing economy.
And while EPA officials say reducing carbon emissions in the U.S. will help reduce pollution globally, the Indiana Chamber of Commerce worries other nations won't follow the U.S.'s lead.
And what concerns us in particular is that this will be going on at the same time that China and India are adding coal-fired plants almost on a monthly basis. So any reduction that we see in air emissions from these standards in the United States is totally dwarfed by the increase in air emissions from China and India.
Brinegar says complying with the rules would put pressure on businesses to cut costs and reduce their workforces. And he says Indiana's renewable energy industries aren't big enough to make up for those lost jobs. Environmentalists say that view is short-sighted.
The chamber is stuck in the past and not recognizing that the coal fleet is getting old. The coal fleet is causing significant public health problems. Here in Indianapolis, we have some of the worst air quality in the entire state, and that's because of old coal-burning power plants that lack modern pollution controls.
So what do the proposed rules actually say? The EPA would require Indiana to reduce its carbon emissions 20% by 2030. Indiana would customize its strategies for meeting that goal, including investing in energy efficiency programs, reducing demand for power, and upgrading aging infrastructure.
They're not really a surprise. I think they reflect what really has been going on, a trend that's been going on in environmental policymaking for really the last 10 or 15 years.
And because they've known these types of stricter regulations were coming, some energy companies have already taken steps to reduce emissions. Duke Energy is retiring 4 of the coal-burning units at its Wabash River Valley station, and Indianapolis Power and Light is shutting down its coal-fired power plant in Martinsville and building a facility that will burn all natural gas, a substance that, while it has its own environmental controversies, emits about half as much carbon dioxide as coal. There's also carbon capture, which the Indiana Chamber of Commerce endorses. The newly built Duke Energy Edwardsport coal gasification plant is an example. It churns coal into gas, separates the pollutants like carbon dioxide, and then burns the cleaner gas particles to produce electricity. The remaining carbon dioxide is typically stored underground, a process called sequestration. But all these technologies cost money, and they aren't a sure bet. When the Edwardsport plant opened, it was way over budget and has had difficulty producing the amount of energy it was supposed to be capable of. That's why environmentalists say alternative energy, such as solar and wind power, and reducing energy consumption are the state's best bets for meeting the new standards.
We've seen records amounts of wind power being installed in the northern part of the state. We've seen progress on solar around the Indianapolis airport, a lot of new solar being installed. And so there's really building on the progress already happened. That's how we can move the state forward and really make the transition to cleaner sources of energy and clean up the air here in Indiana.
Governor Pence is vowing to fight the proposal, even if it means suing the EPA. But even if the state were to win a legal battle or delay the implementation of the new rules, Raymond says sticking with the coal industry's current practices and technology is not an option.
Clearly, in the long run, industries change, or we would all still be driving, right, horse and carriage and not cars, right? And computers were really bad for people who made typewriters for a living. So what we really need to do is try to manage the transition that, if you're worried about climate change at least, has to happen in a way that has the least impact possible, right, on the people who work in those industries that are most vulnerable. That's the key.
As we mentioned, the EPA wants to reduce emissions 30% nationally by 2030. But the EPA isn't telling states to cut emissions by that much across the board. Some have to cut more than 30%, others less than 30%, based on their dependence on coal and how easily they would be able to switch to alternative sources of energy. Let's take a look at some of the states that have the highest and lowest reduction goals. Indiana has a 20% proposed reduction goal. That's higher than the state with the lowest goal, North Dakota, at 11%. But it's much lower than the state with the highest goal, Washington State, at 72% reduction. That's because, unlike Indiana, Washington State doesn't produce much electricity using coal. They rely more heavily on hydropower. Business leaders in Indiana say the 20% goal is still too stringent, though arguing that if they were to meet that goal, it would cause a spike in electricity prices. The actual economic consequences remain to be seen. Environmental scientists say cutting emissions will likely cause some price increases, but giving states and companies flexibility on how to reduce emissions will help alleviate some of those costs. Now we go over to Alex Dirkman for a look at this week's top stories.
Thank you, Joe. 18 counties are being considered finalists for the state's new pre-K pilot program. Here's a look at the list. Of these counties, 5 will be selected to participate in the pilot program. Those counties must be dispersed throughout the state and have a mix of rural and urban areas within the county itself. County and school officials now have until June 30th to submit proposals for why they should be chosen. The final 5 counties are expected to be selected by July, and the program is set to launch next summer. Indiana must administer a new standardized test this spring that aligns to the state's new academic standards. State Superintendent Glenda Ritz made the announcement at a state board meeting this week. The new test is one of several requirements the state must meet if it wants to continue being exempt from the federal No Child Left Behind standards. Ritz says the new test will be much more rigorous, having no multiple choice questions and asking students to provide their own answers. This gives teachers and school districts just 7 months to create a new assessment and prepare students. Only 13% of registered Indiana voters went to the polls for last month's primary election. That's the lowest turnout in more than 2 decades. The 2014 primary election was atypical for Indiana. There were no statewide races on the ballot, the first time that's happened since 2002. Only 3 statewide officers are up for election in November: Secretary of State, Treasurer, and Auditor, and those candidates are chosen at the state party conventions. So voter turnout wasn't expected to be high this year. Only about 600,000 registered voters cast a ballot. The city of Greencastle is renovating an old school for a new senior living community. Mayor Sue Murray says the school is currently being used for storage. She says the location made it a great option for senior apartments, which Murray says is a need in the community.
It just backs right up on the main city park where there's summer concerts and obviously recreational opportunities. It also is virtually at the entrance of DePauw University, so we have a whole wealth of wonderful musical venues, athletic opportunities that are within walking distance.
The new structure will retain the original facade and main portions of the school to help it blend in with the surrounding historic neighborhood. The planned 33-unit project is being funded partially through federal tax credits and a community development loan. Murray says they hope to be moving residents in by the end of 2015. This week marked the third-year anniversary of Indiana University student Lauren Spearer's disappearance, and police say they are still receiving new information on the case. The 20-year-old was last seen after a night out at the bars in Bloomington, and her disappearance still remains a mystery. A Bloomington Police Department spokesman says the last tip they received came in just last week. While the overall number of tips the department is receiving has declined, police are still investigating the information that comes in. He says police remain hopeful that someone will come forward with information that can explain Spearer's disappearance. A group of parents are suing the Indiana Department of Child Services for failing to pay them adoption subsidies. State law requires the DCS to pay adoptive parents of special needs children if funding is available, and attorneys on the case say the department has access to such funding. They allege that since 2009, the DCS returned about $235 million in available funds to the state's general fund instead of paying the subsidies. A spokesman for the Department of Child Services declined to comment on the lawsuit. Comcast this week launched 80,000 Wi-Fi hotspots in Indiana. The system uses existing Xfinity hardware, such as modems many people have in their homes, to broadcast additional signals that other Xfinity subscribers can connect to. A Comcast spokesman says each line supports up to 6 devices, so an overload of devices could weaken the connections on people's modems. But customers can opt out of having their device broadcast that extra signal. And IU is now offering reserved parking on the Bloomington campus for the upcoming school year. And Joe, you actually followed this story.
Yes, and those premium spots are not cheap.
One of the most coveted possessions at IU now comes with a price tag. For just more than $1,600, full-time faculty and staff can have their own reserved parking spot 24 hours a day. The new reserved designation will also give the driver access to any other A, C, or garage parking on campus. IU's Assistant Vice Provost, Julie Bowder, says she's not worried about the new reserved spots taking up more parking space when they're not being used.
If you have a permit, you can park, even with an F permit, anywhere after 5, except for the 24-hour spaces. So if it's eliminating 1 or 2 in a lot where there's only 10 people parked in a lot of 100 spaces, I don't think it'll be an issue.
The new parking option is one of several ideas developed by a transportation committee at IU that was tasked with looking into more options than the traditional A and C parking spots.
We would like a sliding scale for staff based on income, but I'm gonna see where this plan goes.
With no new parking structures in the works, Bowder says she hopes IU employees also look into alternative transportation options, such as free Bloomington Transit and 2-person carpools.
And Alex, they say the money from those spots will be kept into the IU Parking Operations Fund. It doesn't go back into the University General Fund.
That'll be interesting to see how many people actually pick up that offer.
They will. Thanks, Alex. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. Businesses are taking advantage of new federal rules that allow them to ask individuals directly for money. We explore how crowdfunding is impacting real estate investments. 25 years after the Tiananmen Square protest in China, more than 400 new photos are released. We'll talk to the photographer that took them. Those stories right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
Frontline provides me with information that makes me think.
First I shout at the television. You gotta be kidding!
You won't see this anywhere else.
The stories hit close to home.
Truth is a very valuable commodity.
They're uncompromising.
I want to do something. I want to take action.
It changed the way I actually live my life. It lets me make up my mind. I trust it.
When I watch Frontline,
it makes me angry and it makes me want to voice it.
I want to make a difference.
We can make a difference.
Frontline.
These guys are my heroes.
$10,000.
15?
15, you think?
20, 21,000?
600.
20. 18.5.
24.
It's at least 40.
Look at it.
4,500,000.
650.
20.
650.
This textile would be worth about $500,000.
$500,000?
No way.
I knew it's just a blanket.
Laying on the back of a chair. Well, sir, you have a national treasure.
Wow.
A national treasure. Congratulations.
I can't believe this.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Most people by now have heard of crowdfunding sites such as Kickstarter. Here's how it works. A band needs money for a CD. They ask people to contribute, and in return, those people get things like a CD, or if they donate a large amount of money, maybe a private concert. But crowdfunding is taking off to a whole new level. Real estate developers are starting to use crowdfunding sites to ask for contributions to their projects. And in return, you become an investor. As Gretchen Frazee reports, that presents a whole new set of opportunities and risks.
Real estate investment company Main Street wants to build a short-term rehabilitation center like this one in Bloomington.
We think there's a massive opportunity here in Bloomington, in Indiana more broadly, and across the country for these short-stay transitional care facilities.
The facility would offer an alternative to nursing homes and at-home care when people are discharged from the hospital. White calls it a luxury experience.
We'll have 8 to 10 on-site common amenities, things like a movie theater, a music room, a hair salon. We'll have 2 to 3 on-site restaurants.
Traditionally, to build this kind of a facility, Main Street would go to banks and investment brokers to get funding. But this time, the company's leaders wanted to try a new approach.
These types of investments in the past were available to institutions, to Wall Street, to those that had special access. We want to democratize that.
On a recent weekday in Bloomington, White is pitching the idea to a room full of potential investors. He's hoping to raise $1.5 million of the project's $13 million cost from individual investors.
For the most part, they look like hotels. In fact, you can see here.
But not everyone can invest. The Jobs Act allows companies to solicit investments through crowdfunding, but right now the Securities and Exchange Commission is limiting that to accredited investors, people who make at least $200,000 a year or have a net worth of more than $2 million. That's because there's an inherent risk in investments like the one Main Street is offering.
The bad, as I characterize it sometimes with these crowdfunding platforms, is the potential for naive investors being coupled with naive entrepreneurs, and the result of that can be something that is not satisfying really for either of them.
So far, people seem to be willing to take that risk, especially for the 14% return Main Street says it can produce.
That's a pretty alluring figure, so I very definitely want to go on their website and look at facilities that they have developed. I'm actually going to go with a few people that were here today to a couple of the facilities in Carmel and Kokomo and kind of see what they've been building.
And that's what makes real estate crowdfunding stand out from other investments. There's actually a building, previously built facilities, or in the Bloomington case, a plot of land that potential investors can see.
It's very powerful because it's local, you can see it, you can touch it, you feel it. That's very different from, I put an extra $1,000 in my TIA CREF account that might grow at 5 to 7%, right? That's not very personal. You really don't know the companies or the founders that money's going to.
But Saxton says people need to think critically about any company before investing. Crowdfunded real estate projects are popping up all over the nation, from Indianapolis to New York City. And most of the time, people use websites such as Fundrise or CrowdStreet to invest. So Saxton says investors need to check into the business's track record, read all the fine print, and make sure it's legitimate. This is especially important because the SEC is in the process of establishing rules that would open up crowdfunding to everyone, not just accredited investors. And that's something Main Street is excited about.
We're always looking to innovate. We're always looking to, we call it positive dissatisfaction. This is working great. How can we do it better? How can we improve on what we're doing? And one of those things may very well be, as you point out, okay, so you've found success with accredited investors. Now, when the rules are written, would you go more broadly to all investors? Absolutely.
Since that investors meeting in Bloomington, Main Street has raised $1.8 million more than the original amount it was seeking from individual investors. Now, as we mentioned, that's only a fraction of the total cost of building the facility, but because it generated so much interest, company officials say they plan to rely more heavily on crowdfunding for future projects. And Main Street isn't the only company in Bloomington that's using crowdfunding. Jeff Wuslich, the president of Cardinal Spirits, is here to tell us about how they used crowdfunding to launch their distillery. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joe.
What clued you in that crowdfunding would be a viable source option for your company?
Sure. We always knew we needed to raise money, and we are taking advantage of loans. But when an organization has an opportunity, especially something that's forward-facing, consumer-facing, and something that you might be able to hold in your hand or go and visit like a piece of real estate, I think that's a great opportunity for crowdfunding, and that's why we took advantage of it.
What kind of people have you found are investing into Cardinal Spirits?
Yeah, so we have a little over 20 investors, and they range from people that gave about $5,000 up to several $100,000 invested, I should say. And mostly from Indiana and largely from Bloomington and Indianapolis, but we do have out-of-state investors from Illinois, Iowa, Ohio as well.
Now, we heard from the story we just saw from crowdfunding, companies can only ask directly from accredited investors and people that have to make $200,000 a year or have that net worth of $2 million. You were somehow found a way to go around that.
Right.
How'd you do that?
Yeah, so we have both accredited and unaccredited investors in our plan, in our project. There is an exemption under Section 504, and I don't want to go into too many of the details here, but if a small business is willing to raise less than $1 million in a year and comply with the various state laws from which the investor comes from, you can raise from unaccredited and accredited investors. You do have to go through a broker. We went through a company that's based out of Indianapolis called Local Stake, which allowed us to get in touch with investors online and make the compliance part of it very easy. You also have to do, you have to keep your offering private, so we can't take out an ad in a newspaper or have a large public forum and just broadcast that out for investors. So we had to keep that private.
So your distillery is supposed to open later this year.
That's right.
For someone who's just looking at doing what you are doing right now, do you have any kind of words of advice or wisdom going through this process?
Yeah, crowdfunding is not just like a magic wand that you can wave over and get lots of money. I mean, it's an incredible commitment, maybe even more so than going through private investors. Like angel funds or venture capitalists, because you are dealing with individuals that maybe aren't as savvy with investments, so you do need to be careful. Have great legal advice. We used Ice Miller in Indianapolis, but you can use other law firms, of course. But you're going to need some good compliance for sure.
Thank you very much for being here. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe.
Wednesday of this past week marked the 25th anniversary of the massacre that broke up pro-democracy protest in China's Tiananmen Square. The Chinese government never released an official death toll of the event, but bystanders estimate hundreds of people were killed. A Chinese photojournalist was in Tiananmen Square on the days leading up to the killings. He's now a professor at Indiana University, Purdue University, and his photos were made available to the public for the first time this week. He sat down with us to share his experience and the photos that document those moments in history 25 years ago.
1989, after Hu Yaobang, the General Secretary of the Communist Party, died on April the 15th. Some people began to emerge in the Tiananmen Square to mourn for his death. And so I knew the news immediately. Over time, more and more students joined. The picture has pretty much crystallized the whole meaning of the event. The two words, freedom, democracy. And those are the words that many Chinese students and citizens were fighting for. I was not in Tiananmen Square on the evening of June 3rd, leading toward the June 4th killing. Fortunately, unfortunately, because fortunately, I'm still living today. Unfortunately, I lost a good opportunity to document the history. On June the 4th, the government were searching, confiscating pictures so that they could arrest people. And I so simply just hid a lot of photographs. In China, the government has blocked the information regarding this incident. The government does not even want to mention it. So in 1994, my late wife brought all the negatives to this country. She was really brave at the time. And it was a risk we had to take.
And now that those photos have been developed and digitized, you can view all 413 of the images on IUPUI's website. You can also find a link on our website, WTIUnews.org. And Alex, you probably noticed the photos, they were in black and white, and it was because if they were in color, he'd have to take them to a film developer in China, and then they could have become confiscated.
And it's definitely certain that exact details of this massacre are disputed, and there's no doubt that there are unanswered questions. So.
Well, that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news in southern Indiana throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following. Indiana University's Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, presenting Security Matters, with tips for improving online security in 3 minutes or less. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Communications, serving southern Indiana with high-speed fiber gigabit internet. Smithville Fiber Gigabit Technology. Tap the power.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.